Okay, good evening again, everyone. This is Doug. And looking here at the goal view at Trader Vision, and what I've done is set this up in such a way as all the trades that I do here in the workshops, they're going to be recorded under this workshop account. So everything will be seen. You'll be able to see everything that's done, if they're traded or not traded, or whatever. And I started this out with $100,000, and because I thought that might be somewhat realistic to most everyone. Put a goal in there of just $15,000 in the first 12 months. Now, 15,000 is a 15% return. I can change that if you guys would prefer. I know most would be pretty darn happy with a 15% return. Last week there was a lot saying, put in 12. So tell me, does that look okay? Because that changes the way this calculates, obviously. Everyone like that? About a 15% return in a year? Yep, you can always change them. Depends on how this goes. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. And I've set it at 15 trades on average a month that I'm going to try to produce in here. So that means I will be trying to do some trades that are outside the workshop, trying to get up to that 15, or what I think is kind of an average of most people on a monthly basis. Does 15 look okay? Is everyone okay with that? Okay, got a couple answers, yes. Cool, so we'll leave it at that. So you can see here, by doing that little bit, Trader Vision has figured out that we only need to achieve $78 per trade to make this occur. Would anyone think that $78 is a huge reach or overreaching in a trade? Do you think you can find 15 trades a month that could make you 78 bucks? All right. And that's why we want to use this, because setting up a goal is really important to kind of keep you focused, making sure you're not swinging for the fences all the time, taking crazy large trades trying to make something work, and having that figure right there tells us a lot about our trading and what we need to try and accomplish. So not a big stretch to make that occur. So right now, I want to take some questions. If you have some questions, or how to use Trader Vision, those kind of things, let's do that. And then I have several trades I want to share, possible trades I want to share with you, with the whole caveat of anything can happen tonight. This market could be soaring by the morning. It could be sinking hard by the morning. I have no idea where that's going to be. So by putting out trades, those that I see that are pretty good, they may not actually get traded if the market is, all over the place. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to put out several trades because we didn't do any last time because of the market situation, and so I've got several. One of the things that happened today is stocks ran really hard, as you all know, up big with the idea that this was going to be kind of a slam dunk election, and already it's looking like it might not be a slam dunk election. So, any questions on the use of Trader Vision? Any issues or anything that we can help you with? Ed is here, so if you send me any really hardball questions, I'm gonna call on Ed if they go into programming or that kind of stuff. I see some folks typing, so I'm gonna pause for that. Yeah, it's showing trade sizes of that. Obviously, when you set up a trade, it is not going to be that size. In fact, I'll just go over here to a couple of planned trades, and it all depends on how you set this up. I've set mine up, and let me just show you here real quickly. I'm going to say yes to that. I have set mine up, this workshop account up, with a $250 max risk to a stop. So out of a $100,000 account, I'm only willing to risk $250 on any one trade. Now, if you wanted to do a lump sum on that trade, you'll need to go to application here. And under the application tab, you change this from max dollar loss to a stop right here. You would click total dollars for a position. And you can see if you hover over it, it gives you an explanation of what we're talking about. So for example, like Rick likes to trade the same size of money into each account or into each trade. So let's say he likes to trade $5,000 in each trade. That means every trade he sets up is $5,000. So if you select this, it will actually change how the software calculates the number of shares that you can buy. Okay. I prefer to use max risk because that tells me more, that's more pertinent to me. I need to know what I'm risking to my stop. And I need to know that I'm not taking a risk that's too large. And my tolerance on an account this size, trying to make $78 a trade, is to not risk more than 250. Is that making sense? Has everyone got theirs set up the way they like it? Okay, so that's why I did that, and why it looks the way it does. So I'm going to jump right back to the trade view here and actually look at, I've got 4 planned trades here. And I can actually probably give you a couple more to look at yourself, depending on how the market, runs. But let's take a look at like this WWW. Okay. The reason is it was one of the more expensive trades that I put together a plan on. And it's one that I only used a single target, which is rare for me. And the reason I used a single target is I'll show you the chart and you'll kind of understand why I did that. So you can see with this trade setup, and I'm maximum risking $250 to my stop, I'm only risking 104. Okay. And the software tells me I could, on my rule that I want to risk $250 in each trade, when I try to put that in here, it's going to show too many shares. It says I can trade 380 shares. So let me put 380 over here and show you what happens. Oops. This percent of account turns pink because I'm trading way too much of my account for this trade. So it's warning me here that I'm over trading my position. Even though I'm only taking $249.38 risk to my stop, I'm using much too large of a position for my comfort zone. So I planned the trade at 150 shares. 150 shares puts me just above the 3% knockoff here. And the way this works out is if you're 3% or less, this will be green. Well, I'm 0.11 over that. I'm okay being just a tiny bit over because of my stop loss here is 104.48 is my maximum risk in the trade. And notice I'm only trading $3,000. So even though it shows 666 over there on the other side, you'll never get there if you use the account size correctly. Okay? So you're sizing your trades here. This prevents me from taking too much risk in a trade. Okay? So in this trade, I'll have to have you look at the chart. In fact, let's just do that right now. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of, you can see we're above the 200. Let's let this go. We're above the 200. The 50 is getting ready to cross above the 200. And what we've got here is a breakout of a major resistance level of this price action. See how we've broken out of these highs right here? And we've consolidated that for several days now. Is this the perfect buy signal? It is not. I'm trying to push a trade here just because we're trying to create a trade. So notice this little consolidation here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so days. This has gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days consolidating right here. So what we want to do is wait for this to cross out. Now the reason it is the way it is because I am really unsure about this market. And so I went for just a single target on this trade. Now, you all know that once you start a trade, you can modify or do anything you want to with that trade. But I was looking for a single move up here that wasn't getting too radical. I'm not asking this stock to move a lot, am I? To reach up here and hit this little drop down pullback resistance right here. So I'm not asking the stock to make a giant move. And when you start using Trader Vision, you're going to see your charts a little bit differently because in those charts, you're going to see that price action and you're going to realize that the stock doesn't have to go clear up there to make you money or have you make your goal. Remember, we're working on a plan here to hit our goals consistently, not to make a killing. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to plan trades that fit our risk reward tolerances. And then we put those trades to work so that we're taking profits consistently, not getting out there swinging for the fence. We're looking for that consistent 15% return over the next 12 months to grow our account. Now, if we can do that relatively easily, will your confidence grow so that you can maybe shoot for 20 or 25% return? Absolutely. Plus, the software is going to show you over the course of the year what trades are working the best for you, what trade setup is working the best for you, so that you can hone that even more and get better and better results. Okay? So, this is just a simple move. And please speak up because I'm one of those guys. I want you to participate. If you're not participating, I think I'm talking to nobody or nobody even cares, and why am I here wasting my time? Okay? So I want you to participate in this and answer some of those questions that I'm talking about. You don't have to have long, lengthy things on here, but just I want to hear from you and what your issues are with using the software, and if this is actually changing or helping you change your focus so that you're doing the best you can in those trades. Okay, so that is the target and the only target. Could we reach up here? Yes, we could. Do I think the market is going to send us straight up there? I really don't. And in a trade like this, there may be multiple trades. And by the way, I want you all to recognize this pattern here. We have a W bottom with a consolidation on the breakout. That is an excellent pattern to learn, to know, and to be able to trade. Okay? So let's take a look at how the trade laid out. So I set this trade up, and you can see I've got the ticker up here. I've got it, SPY's trending up currently. SPY's above the 50, and I see the 50 as being pretty flat. I've got multiple indecisive dojis in that consolidation, and I want to enter that when it crosses above that consolidation at 2071. My stop loss is at 2008, below that consolidation, below the area where the buyers continue to buy it back up in that consolidation. Okay, so this is telling me I'm risking 3.36% in this trade. You guys comfortable with that? To me, that's extremely comfortable. I'm risking 104.48 to make this position. Now, the goal of this trade is only 21.30. Excuse me. That can't be right. Oh, yeah, that is right. 21.30 to make your goal. Sorry, I was looking at the numbers wrong there. It only has to move up 2.85% to reach our goal. Does this trade look possible to you? It may not be the best trade setup. We know the market's funky. Okay? But this is a pretty simple trade. A very direct, easy position to take with a single out. And you can see this single out comes close to tripling our goal. So what if we get up past this 21.30 and it starts to falter? Does that mean you have to stick with this plan? Of course not. You can take your goal. That's correct. Adjust your stop, continue to manage the trade. So there is that first position, and why I did it this way. Now you may disagree, and that is okay. If you don't like the way this trade is set up, that's not a problem. Fix it. See if you can make it work for you. I understand you're all trading different values in your account. For someone who's trading $30,000, this trade probably won't work at all because they won't be able to buy enough shares to make it work. Okay? That's correct. That's correct. That's why I try to compensate and get better than my goal on every trade because I know some of them aren't going to work. And so I have to be able to do a little bit better on my winners to compensate for my losers. Right? So this trade would do almost triple. Is that better than my goal? What if I only double my goal? Can I take that trade and feel good about it? Yes, I can. Right? Isn't that nice, Ernie, to be able to attach the chart record to the or a chart to the record so that you have that there? That's really cool, isn't it? That helps a ton when you go back and review your trades. Yeah, that is a really, really cool feature. Everyone understand why I made the trade the way it is and how you would adjust it if you want to trade it differently. If you're trading with 200,000, you may want to trade 400 shares. I don't know. If you're willing to risk more to your stop, you may want to take, align this trade up differently. But what I'm trying to point out here is this simple trade, this very simple trade with a single target, does better than our goal, and we're not asking the stock to take off to the moon. We're asking for a 7% return on that trade. We can make our goal or better with just a 5% return. So the trick to being successful is taking profits consistently. Would everyone agree with that after seeing this? Okay. We don't have to just be out there swinging. We just have to, and we're talking 15 trades a month to do this. 15. We're not talking about massive amounts of trades either. We're talking about being really picky, really picky, and only taking those ones that give us the opportunity to knock that goal out. That's great, Mark. I'm glad you've picked that up because it's just awesome. It's just awesome when I see people catch on to that and realize, hey, my job as a trader is to put money in the bank. I don't have to have great big gains. I just need to do it consistently. Very simple trading is what gets you there. So in this scenario, Can you see that you wouldn't have to trade every day to make this work? To reach your goal? If the market is just flat crummy that day, do you have to trade? No, you don't. You don't have to do it. You can relax and say, you know what? Today stinks. I'm going to maintain my edge and only take the best trades that I can find. Until then, I'm going to sit on my hands and wait so that that position does better for you. Does that help you being that understanding of this whole idea of, well, you're going to have losses to compensate for? You are going to have losses to compensate for. There's no doubt about it. But if we're only looking for 15 trades to make $78, can we be extremely picky in our trading? I think so. I think we can be really picky. Isn't that the truth, Joan? It just, once you know what you're working for, it makes trading a whole lot easier, doesn't it? Mark, I love hearing you say that. Wait for the trade to come to me. That's awesome. I say that so much, I think people have gotten so they don't even hear it, and I appreciate you saying that. That's correct, Joan. You'll have your losses controlled. They will occur. What gives you confidence, Linda, is that when you start seeing that consistency begin to happen, you're starting to put money into the account on a consistent basis. That's what helps your confidence. It's just that systematic approach. Hey, we don't have to stress about this. We don't have to race around. We don't have to chase a stock. We have to wait for the stock to come to us to give us the best possible trade to reach our goal. That's cool stuff. I mean, really cool stuff. Now, question that someone has asked me before, and I thought it was a really good question. $78, isn't it? Obviously, that's not a big move in a lot of stocks. So, what happens if you have an account that's under $25,000 and you do this and, excuse me, you hit that pattern day trading rule because you're taking profits within a day? Well, here's what I would do with that. If you're wanting to lock in that profit, I would let the stock move past that profit zone, and then I would lock it in with a stop loss and give it that chance that the next morning it gives you just a little bit more before you trigger the exit. I do that a lot. When a stock moves nicely in one day, even if the market is crummy the next morning, have you ever noticed how that good stock move, because there's people that bought right at the end of the day or bought pre-market on that candle, and you get that nice little love tap in the morning, boom, it just pops. So what I will do is I will lock in that trade, and the next morning when the market gets ready to pop up there and take it, I put an order in to sell me at the market, at the open. Boom. Bam, I'm out of the trade. And sometimes I get filled at the high of the day. So let that market open, then fire off that trade. And sometimes you'll catch the very high of the day doing that. And you can avoid that pattern day trading rule if you have that smaller account. Okay. It does stop a lot of the yo-yo, doesn't it, Don? Does stop a lot of the yo-yo. Okay, let's take a look at another trade here. SGY is the ticker, SGY. You can see I've got this planned for 3 targets. Okay, I am going to show you the chart so you can see the trade. This is a neat little setup. Oh, sorry, getting a white screen. There we go. Let the chart catch up here for you. My goodness. This is a neat little setup. William, I do. Because I've planned this trade, my trade tells me what I need to do. So after I'm entered into the trade, my stop will always be there and my targets will always be there. And the reason is because I'm pretty busy. And let's face it, if you're in 7, 8, 9 positions at a time, can you watch them all instantaneously in the morning or anytime during the day? You can't. So I put those orders in the market because I am removing that emotional decision. I'm not going to be baited into a greed situation or watch the stock starting to fall and worry about whether I should get my stop in place. So when I plan the trade, my trade is done. I've planned it, I put the orders in the market, and I let it work. That doesn't mean I can't modify it, but I put those orders out there so that it's done. I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to stress about it. Okay? So I do. You'll have to decide if that's going to work for you, but for me, removed all the emotion. So this trade, I've got this, it's a pattern that I like to call opposing tails. We have an inverse tail and we have a little hammer type pattern here. And what I liked about the chart is that that tail right there bounced right off of the high of that candle right there. So we pulled back and buyers stepped in right there. Now, do I have the perfect signal for entering this? I don't. Remember, pushing this out here, trying to get you some trades to see how you can put this together that makes sense to you, okay? So this trade, the reason I kind of like this trade is we have a really close stop loss. I put the stop loss right below the tail because we bounced off of the top of that candle. If we fall back through there, look how much further we can come down to find support. So it needs to stay up there. Now I want to trigger this trade if it trades above 922. My favorite thing to have happen is if I look at it in the morning and it's trading just below that, I set my orders in there and now I forget about it because it rises up, hits my trigger, and I'm done. Okay, now notice these little tiny moves. I'm asking this to hit me here in this trade and only trade up to that high point right there. Okay, that little tick right there. I'm asking it, see how this consolidation area right here, that's right at that high point. The next trade, the next target would be the highs of that point, are real close. And notice I'm trying to take it before I reach the highs. Taking my profits out as we move up. My last target, just above that, because I hit resistance right here. And see this little 3 candle flat area right here before the big move down? That's going to serve as resistance, and I want to take profits there too. Okay, so let's take a look at the trade. So notice I'm only trading 1.85% of my account. Why am I doing that? This is a very volatile stock. I could choose to trade more, but it's a volatile stock, so I'm going to trade it small. I don't want to be out there huge on this trade, and I don't have to be out there huge on this trade to make good money. So my entry at 922, my stop at 812. Notice down here, I'm risking 229 to my stop. Now that's more than I was risking on that bigger trade, right? That's the risk in these high volatile stocks. I'm taking a smaller position, but I'm actually risking more. Look at my percentage risk to my stop. This may not be your trade. I am willing to do this one because it's a small trade. And I'm going to manage it real close with that stop. And it doesn't have to move far. All I need to do is cross back up to that high. And I'll show you what it does. Remember, we're asking for a small move. Just reaching up to that top of that wick of yesterday, and this trade beats the goal by 30 bucks. That little move, 12.53%. If I can get that second target, I'm going to sell 75 shares there, 31%. 219 on that 75 shares. Target 3, 25 shares left, another $100, 47.07% return, overall 24%. Look at this potential of this trade. In that smaller position. Just remember, it's extremely volatile. Okay? May not be your trade, but you can see you can plan these trades carefully and pull a nice trade out. And all it has to do is move from there to there. Heck, if it just moves from here to the second target, what an awesome trade, right? If it can just move a tiny little bit. By the way, notice the bop here. Balance of power. There's lots of stuff. Something's going on here. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of activity in this stock. So I like the setup. Okay. Questions on that one? Isn't it neat how the software shows you this thing doesn't have to go miles up there to make a trade? Honestly, if you would have just looked at that chart, would you have guessed you could have done this with it in such a small move? Notice here, it only has to move to $9.71 to make our goal. So if we rise up and hit that first target and it looks like that's all it is, sell the whole thing, man. Take the money out. Right? What does that look like if you were to just take all of that out at that first target? How cool is that? You just smoked your goal, and all it had to do was rally up to that top of the wick yesterday. Pretty cool, huh? Is to me. The power the power of the software can show you how to take just small moves and turn them into great returns. That's awesome, Joan. We love to hear that kind of stuff. I'm going to go with MYCC here. I'm going to get the chart first. I like the setup here. MYCC, first let me get the T line up here for you. You can see that we have a rounded bottom breakout pattern that has occurred, and we've consolidated across that 50-day moving average. Notice all of our moving averages are all in the same place except that 200. They're all in the same place. We got a nice little moving average squeeze there under this. We've still got this little downtrend right here, but if we cross above this 1329, we'll have breached it. So you'll have to decide if you want to trade it there or let it pass through, come back, and test a support. Okay, you'll have to decide that. But this morning star, and I call this a morning star because it's the basic pattern, and I'm going to go to my naked chart now, is right off of the 50-day moving average. Okay, so we're getting this bounce right off of that moving average. So I want to enter at 1329 and my stop is 1259. I'm underneath that tail, giving it quite a bit of room to move down if I needed to. Target is before we reach the top here. First target, 1411. Doesn't have to reach out there very far, does it? Simple move. Second target, 1483. Just move up here to these highs, that high wick. Okay. Only two targets in this trade. Could I go for a third? I absolutely could. You know, you could put one out here if you chose to, and even one all the way up here if you chose to. I planned this with two exits. So let's look at the trade setup. MYCC, I'm trading 225 shares. That gives me exactly 3% of my account that I'm trading. Keeps me in the green. Okay. My first target, I'll make 114, beating my goal by about 30 bucks. My second target, I pick up another $100, beating my goal on the second target. So I'm more than doubling my goal with a simple two target trade, and I'm not asking the stock to go very far. Risk in the trade is 167 bucks. I'm taking 5.6% risk in that trade. That's a pretty good trade, don't you think? Overall, I'm only looking at 7.44% gain. Not a huge gain, is it? But it doesn't have to be a huge gain to hit our goals. And that's what we're doing. We're working to hit those goals consistently. Doesn't have to move very far, and we've hit our goal. Now, what happens? Let me ask you guys this, if this has happened to you yet, because this is one of the greatest things to me, is if I plan my trades So I hit my goal on my first target. People will ask me, well, why'd you trade 150 shares out here? Why didn't you, you know, do 100 so that you could spread this out a little bit more? Because I want to make my goal or better in that first target. That's why. Because once I've made my goal, can I relax in this trade a little bit? I can relax in this trade a ton because all I have to do now is manage a winning trade. I just have to make sure I don't let it take the money away from me. Big psychological trade change in your trading is just let the trade work at that point because you've already hit your goal. Just don't let it take that money away. So manage your stop. And I'll show you a trade that folks have been talking about here for a while from the room. So just take that goal out of that trade, get a little bit better than your goal so that you're managing any risks or losses. You're compensating for those. And hey, now you're just managing a winning trade. Much easier to do. No stress in that. Okay, so this trade produces very nicely for us, and we're not asking for this stock to do a whole lot. We're not asking for a huge move. Okay. You guys remember the discussion today about ETE? Rick's talked about ETE quite a bit. ETE is a very slow mover. It's been a really slow mover. All right. This was my entry into ETE. I took my first goal out right here. I moved my stop loss up, but I didn't move it up real tight. See these two little, this price action right here? These two little candles? As soon as I could, I moved my stop loss up just under those. And then when I got this nice candle here, I moved my stop loss just up under that. And I let it set. Now this pulled back and broke down, but it did not trip my stop loss, did it? I'm below it. Now why can I let this happen and take this long to happen? Is because I've already got my goal out of the trade. Now I'm just managing a winner. Well, you can see yesterday I hit my second target on this trade. And that's the beauty of just letting the trade work after you've hit your target. You can just relax and let it work. You don't have to be a superstar here. Just relax and let it work. So my next trade that I've got to share with you here, I haven't shared CYTK yet, have I? CYTK. Let's go to the chart. CYTK, I'm looking for a better move or a bigger move. And the reason is I have a better setup. In fact, I have an awesome setup. I'm going to put the moving averages on here so you can see those. Sorry, I'm having such a lag here. So we moved up, we came back, touched the 50, we came up, hit this resistance area, consolidated, plowed through, pulled back, and tested support, and buyers stepped back in. My favorite pattern ever, because now I know that is support. I don't know it's support until it's been tested, and it's been tested and buyers stepped back in. Can that still fail? Of course it can. But I'm much more confident in this trade after it's been tested and I see buyers stepping back in. So my entry on this trade is 902. My stop loss is just below these tails at 856. And I'm going to go to my naked chart here so I can get rid of all that extra clutter. Yep, BOP is strong. It's looking good here. First target is I'm going for this area. See where we had this little consolidation right here, the little area, and this little area right here before we broke down. We have this nice, pretty clear area in here to shoot for. So I'm shooting for a pretty good target on this one up here at 1012. Second target's just above when we hit this other level of resistance when we run into these bottoms right here. And the third is I'm taking it out before we can cross up into those tops. So I'm hitting those targets, I'm taking the profit out before we actually reach there. So let's take a look at the trade. Software says I could have taken 521 shares on this trade because of my $250 risk. If I scroll this down, you'll see the way I've got it planned, I'm only taking a $147 risk in the trade. Well, basically $148 risk in the trade. I'm only taking a 5.47% risk in this position. And notice I'm trading below my 3%. That's why I went with 300 shares. Take 150 shares off right here. First target, 1012. And I've doubled my goal. Isn't that cool? To me, that's the coolest thing in the world. You're just using the price action of the chart, showing you where the next resistance level is and letting it naturally move up there after we see buyers stepping in at support. We don't have to be the hero. We don't have to guess. We just get to follow and have the opportunity on our first target to basically double our goal. How cool is that? Now, if you took this whole trade off, you could reach your goal that only has to move to $9.35. We're entering at 902. 935 and you would reach your goal in the trade. How cool is that? Second target, taking off 100 shares. Look at there. We're quadrupling our goal if we hit the second target. If we hit the third, we're basically getting a 5-bagger here on our target, on our goal. In this very simple trade, and it's actually a very clean trade with low risk to the entry or to the stop. You guys like that trade? Potential 16.11 if we catch all three targets. How cool is that? We don't have to trade huge. We don't have to take tons of risk. And we can make our goals happen pretty darn easily. Taking consistent profits on simple trades to take, waiting for those best setups. I'm telling you guys, this stuff really turns me on. I mean, it really does because it shows people how you can do this. You don't have to be some kind of trading superstar to do this, do you? With a little bit of simple planning, taking your time and planning the trade. Do we have to rush to any one of these trades? Well, if they work out completely, yeah. But think about it. Do we have to rush to any of these? We don't have to rush. We can plan. We don't have to sit here and watch every wiggle of the candle as it moves during the day. Because if we've done our trade planning correctly, we're comfortable. We've made our decision that we're willing to risk that for this trade. And once we've made that decision, the trade is entered and we've put our orders in to exit out of the trade. Do you have much less else to worry about? Just let it work. Man, we must have had some results out here that were bad for exiting because we are falling hard. We have lost 75 points in less than a minute on the YM. We're down 130, 100. Well, we were just down 140. We're getting a little bounce back up right now. Um, I mean, in less than a minute, we dropped 75 points. So they must have had another report that wasn't so good on the British exit. There's some big guys who put a lot of money in the market today that is definitely on their knees praying right now. Please, please, get me some good vote counts. They are sweating bullets right now. Sweating bullets. Anyway, what I was saying is this stuff really turns me on because I can show anyone with any size of account if they do the planning, if they do the work, they do the work, they can take simple trades and turn them into great results if they work on taking those profits consistently. Cool stuff, right? And I got to tell you, this is how I went from working full time to where I am now. And I did it while I was working full time. I couldn't watch the market. And I honestly think that was better for me because I established the habit of planning the trades, looking at the chart, verifying the price action where my entries and exits would be logical, setting my orders, shutting off my computer, and not looking at it until the next night. I actually think that helped me to do that because I set my conditional orders and I just let the trade work. You know, it's funny, GG, how the how the other people got out to vote, but they will use that excuse. Well, that it's only that one side couldn't get out to vote. The other folks did. That kills me. How they can spin